So Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners continue their phenomenal work in the transfer portal. Not long ago, we were sitting here talking about Oklahoma going in the transfer portal and picking up the commitment from a very talented wide receiver in the portal. And last night, they doubled down on that, picking up the commitment of a wide receiver we've talked about not all that long ago here on this channel, in LV Bunkley-Shelton, the Arizona State transferee. Today, we need to break down what this means for Oklahoma, what LV Bunkley-Shelton gives the Sooners, and we need to talk about the phenomenal work Brent Venables has done in the portal. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited that LV Bunkley-Shelton has committed to the Oklahoma Sooners? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, like and comment down below. Those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this and talk about what the former top 200 player coming out of high school gives the Oklahoma Sooners. Because LV Bunkley-Shelton is a very talented wide receiver who was able to put up production in his short stint with Arizona State. Last season, he accounted for 33 receptions, just over 400 yards and 418, and he accounted for 12.7 average yards per reception. And that right there is intriguing because we know all of the chaos that has surrounded Arizona State. Every time I've talked about someone transferring from that institution, I always give my short soliloquy about how I can't imagine how hard it was to find success there when there were so many external factors that had to have been causing distractions. So I'm very intrigued to see what LV Bunkley-Shelton is going to be able to do now that he's eliminated all those outside distractions and he's at an organization much more conducive to short-term success than Arizona State in the Oklahoma Sooners. But what does LV Bunkley-Shelton give Oklahoma? And the intriguing thing about this is Bunkley-Shelton has got some versatility. He can be dangerous in the slot position because he has really good routes and he's got a lot of burst. His speed, his quickness is what I think is going to really separate him. And he has long speed, but as much long speed as he has, he's got even more burst and explosiveness. And that right there, especially at a slot wide receiver, if you can get in a guy with that kind of burst but has the kind of route running Bunkley-Shelton provides, that's going to be an instant mismatch. And especially when you look at the wide receivers the Oklahoma Sooners are now going to be fielding. Marvin Mims is still with the program. Marvin Mims is going to be one of the most watched wide receivers by NFL scouts, in my opinion, this year, because he's somebody who has got phenomenal talent, who has got round one talent, but hasn't put up the numbers that many expected him to. But that all looks to change this season. And then outside of that, you have Theo Weiss, another very talented prospect. When he was coming out of high school, admittedly, one of my favorite wide receivers in that cycle. And on top of that, you have a Jaleel Farouk, who's young, but got really positive experience in the bowl game last year and showed the type of talent he has. You still have a Drake Stoops. You have a Jaden Gibson, who, like Jaleel Farouk, very young, very green, but you can't teach that size. And you already got to see in the spring game, when he gets an opportunity, he's going to be able to make a play. And I've said this religiously, I would be really surprised if we don't see some red zone packages for Gibson, just for the simple fact of Oklahoma is now stacking up some bigger wide receivers. You can essentially have a quasi tight end out there playing wide receiver who's got wide receiver speed, wide receiver route running, but the build of a tight end. If you're in the red zone, that's going to be a really hard matchup to try and cover if you're at defense. So I think we will see some packages for Jaden Gibson. But now you're doubling down, going and getting an LV Bunkley-Shelton. What you're doing is making sure that at every single wide receiver position, you have someone you like. Not only that, you have guys in this room now that you can move around from different spots in this wide receiver lineup, creating mismatches across the board. And that's ultimately what I think is so cool about LV Bunkley-Shelton choosing the Oklahoma Sooners, is it gives them a lot of versatility, not only with what to do with Bunkley-Shelton, but how Bunkley-Shelton can allow them to start utilizing and moving around other pieces in their receiving core to create favorable matchups, because he's able to do it. Marvin Mims is a very talented prospect. Theo Weiss is a very talented prospect. Now you can start playing chess and moving people around. What it also gives you is more depth. And look, this is a violent game. Football is a very violent game. We know injuries occur because we have watched entire rooms in college football disappear. So whenever you're able to go out and grab talent to be able to stack depth in a room, you love it. But if that talent has got production behind it, it's just even better. And that's what Oklahoma's been able to do in the transfer portal with these last two additions in the wide receiver department. They're giving themselves depth, but they're giving themselves proven experience in that depth, which is only going to help everybody. Iron sharpens iron. We talk about this consistently, and it remains true in this situation. Brent Venables has done an incredible job in the transfer portal. Now they get in somebody that provides them a bunch of versatility, and in turn, I think will allow them to play with more versatility in the wide receiver room overall. But now we need to take a holistic look as we finish this video out at what Brent Venables has done in the transfer portal. Because we've talked about this before. The Oklahoma Sooners had a top 10 class in Brent Venables' first stint as head coach with the Sooners. And that's very impressive considering all the events that transpired and the short amount of time he had to make up for those events. But he was able to do it. What's more impressive is there are two teams right now in college football that finished with the top 10 recruiting class and currently sit as a top 10 class in transfer portal acquisitions. The Oklahoma Sooners are one of them. The Texas Longhorns were another one, but as more teams have continued to add, Texas has fallen to 11. The other team now is the Alabama Crimson Tide. So Oklahoma finds themselves in the company of Alabama in terms of successful offseason and talent acquisition. That's where you want to be. That's the team you want to have yourself measured up against. And in no way am I saying that means they are Alabama right now. That's not my contention. Alabama's been doing this for years, and therefore any program that's to catch Alabama must be able to replicate their recruiting success for an extended period of time. What I am saying is that's the company you want to be in if you're a first-year head coach. That's the type of company that lets you know I'm doing things the right way. I can't wait to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this newest addition. A great wide receiver pickup for the Oklahoma Sooners who's got a ton of versatility. You can play him in the slot, have him affect a defense, but then you can start moving him around. While that's great for LV Bunkley-Shelton, what I like about that is what it allows for your entire wide receiver room to do, because now you can start moving pieces around, creating mismatches across the board. I love it. I'm here for it. So hop down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.